People First Radio is a program about people, the society in which we live, and issues related to health and wellness.
This is People First Radio. I'm Joe Pugh. Today on the program, a visit to 1030 Old Victoria Road. A new supportive housing site in Nanaimo has had more than 40 people move in since last year. We'll hear from residents Norman and Jeannie, manager Dolly, support workers JB and Joey, and Red Seal chef Joe for a look inside. Welcome to People First Radio. Inside the gates of one of Nanaimo's newest temporary supportive housing sites, the view is mostly tall evergreen trees. 1030 Old Victoria Road is nestled next to the Island Highway at the southern edge of the city, but a large wooden fence surrounds the perimeter and seems to block out most of the road noise. The site started welcoming residents last year. It came about as part of the provincial government's Heart and Hearth program, intended as a way to help people transition out of homelessness. It's operated by Vancouver Island Mental Health Society, of which People First Radio is a community media project. On a sunny January day, I paid a visit to the site, where support worker Joey offered me a tour.
In each of our rooms, there's a bed, a desk, there's an air conditioner / heater that they can use.
There are a couple of buildings on the grounds. Each resident has their own individual room, but share things like bathrooms, laundry facilities, and a dining hall.
So you can just decorate your room however, with whatever kind of furniture.
We have some limitations to like the height of things, that there must be a clear pathway from door to window.
Outside, there's an area on the grounds for people to consume substances while supervised. Workers are monitoring and can intervene if someone becomes unresponsive. Not everyone who lives in the facility uses substances, and there's a separate area for cigarette smoking.
A lot of our folks use substances, but we also have a large portion that don't. And so having a separate smoke pit just for cigarettes is another space for people that maybe don't feel like they're then around people that are using substances. A lot of our folks are like trying to get sober or are sober, so that creates a nice space.
Back inside one of the buildings, Joey shows me a common room with a computer, TV, books, DVDs, and other materials.
We often have like movie nights, or like on Fridays there's sometimes movie nights or craft nights.
The books and the puzzles and the DVDs, where do those all come from? Are those like things that were purchased to furnish the site? Are those community donations?
A lot of community donations. Some staff have brought items from home, but we've actually had a handful of neighbors that are like directly across the street type thing that are happy that we're here, that haven't had any issues and just want to contribute to the community. And so a lot of our puzzles and books and board games are from our community.
What's
really
the uptake
nice.
like? Are there things that are more popular than others, or are there things there's like a need for?
I catch a lot of people doing coloring. Lots of coloring pages, word searches, crosswords, that kind of thing. Also, our DVDs get used quite a lot.
BC Housing says most of the people moving into hearth sites like 1030 Old Victoria Road would, in theory, already have been living in the city's limited shelter spaces. Coming here would be a step towards more permanent housing for the person moving in, and it could also open up another space in the shelter system for someone currently living on the street. According to a 2025 City of Nanaimo staff report, sector professionals estimate that between 800 and 1,000 individuals experience homelessness in the city over the course of a year. After my tour with Joey, I met 1030 Old Victoria Road's manager, Dolly Smith. I asked her about the backgrounds of the 43 folks who have moved in so far.
The answer to that question is pretty broad. We have all different walks of life living here with us at 1030 Old Victoria Road. And we do a part of a process called a CAA process, where individuals living here unhoused in Nanaimo get referred from different organizations here in Nanaimo. The first tier of that was individuals living in sheltering systems here in Nanaimo. At our first tier, we took 14 potential pre-approved individuals that were living in shelters that could manage the rules and regulations in shelters. And then second stage to that was individuals that were living outside in encampments around Nanaimo, individuals that were connected with the CSO officers here in Nanaimo as well. And then we are just entering in the third phase of that. All different organizations that work with individuals that have mental health and or substance use concerns that can move in here and live their best life, whatever that looks like for them.
What are the rules and regulations for someone who moves in here? What does someone need to agree to come and live at 1030 Old Victoria Road?
I would say we have some rules and regulations that individuals need to abide by when they choose to live with us. We do a bit of a move-in and a meet and greet process, ensuring that individuals have the opportunity to come on site to make sure that this environment is going to feel safe and a place that they ultimately want to live. It's an opportunity for them to interview us and get to know us to make sure this is a good fit for them. With those rules, at the end of the day, all we require is that basic respect, being good neighbors to the community that we're living in and also to the individuals that you live beside. And that we are a program agreement as well as following the resident tenancy board as well. And with that, we are just like any other landlord in regards to what we need from residents here at 1030 Old Victoria Road.
When you're having a meeting with someone who is maybe going to move in, what are some of the things you find that that they are looking for? What are the questions they ask you? What do they want to know about life on this site?
That's a great question. I would say guest policy is a huge one. So some folks, when they did their meet and greet, that didn't feel right for them. That was really important for them to have their friends and family come and visit and have overnight stays. And that's not something we are set up to do. Another one is when we are supporting individuals coming off of the streets here in Nanaimo. Food security is a huge one. So we have like a food services program here. Breakfast, we do hot breakfasts every other day, as well as a pretty lovely dinner service as well. Also, some questions about Wi-Fi is huge. So that individuals have Wi-Fi to be able to do some streaming or gaming or whatever the case may be. We do have a lounge where there is Wi-Fi access. So in the individual rooms, that is not something that is provided. So depending on if that's important to someone moving in. And then heat and air conditioning. So in building 1 and building 2, there is air conditioning and heat. So individuals they can adjust their temperature, whatever feels right for them. And then in the building that you and I are currently in, it's all forced air. So those are some questions. What else do we get questions? Animals. Animals, we get a lot of questions about folks wanting to get animals once they've moved in. And the answer to that question is no. The rooms aren't really set up to house like bigger animals. We do have one cat currently on site, and that was the individual had that animal pre-existing prior to moving in, and there was a lengthy process in order to ensure that cat is well taken care of and has all its records and those things. the last thing I think I would add to that is giving individuals like the autonomy to live their best life, and by respecting others, and people just want to move in, feel safe, and have a quiet place to rest their head at the end of the night.
You're listening to People First Radio. We just heard from Dolly Earl Smith, who's the manager of 1030 Old Victoria Road, a supportive housing site in Nanaimo run by Vancouver Island Mental Health Society. We'll hear more from her later on in the program, but first, I also had the chance to speak with a resident at the site named Norman.
Hi, my name is Norman. I'm 60 years old. I've been born in Canada. I'm French-Canadian, so I'm here in BC, and I really like the city of Nanaimo. And here I am here.
And can you tell me about moving into 1030 Old Victoria Road? What was that like for you?
Moving here to 1030 was like it took me about a year before I came living here. So I was going in a subbering house for a couple of months, and they offered me to fill up some paper because my life was a little bit messy. I didn't have no place to live. So yeah, I've been struggling for years before I came here. So when I start living here, it was like paradise for me, because living on the street is a little bit tough sometimes, you know. So yeah.
Yeah, what was the decision like? So when you found out that you could come and live here, what were you thinking? What was the thought process like? How did you decide to come and do it?
I was getting old. I think like when I got 60, it hit me like really like oh no, who I am, like what am I gonna do anyway? So I made the decision to stop consuming, having a bad how do you call that, a bad addiction, you know, abuse it too much, and I made the decision of stopping everything, and. When they offered me to live in a place here, I was not sure. I couldn't believe really how it's gonna work. But actually, I like it here. It's very quiet. I'm surprised. The food is very good. The coffee every day. I mean, yeah, we can have a shower anytime you want. Yeah, I really like it here because of the quietness and the comfort too.
What do things look like for you on a kind of day-to-day basis here? What's your routine?
My routine, the first week was like I was like a little bit like surprised every morning when I wake up. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm here, and it took me about like 3 weeks to really adjust. Like, you know, when you come back home and you feel good, home sweet home. So yeah, it took me 3 weeks to feel.
Do you feel like you've got that now?
Yeah. Yeah. The privacy, I think it's the good thing.
What are your kind of hopes for your experience living here? Do you have any kind of plans for weeks, months, years down the road?
Yeah, I got a plan. Because of my situation in the past, I couldn't have a bank account, so I've been working hard to get my birth certificate, get a bank account. Then because you need a bank account if you want to rent an apartment, because you need to give some specimen check, you know, and have some ideas. So my plan is working on it. It's already done. I just need to wait till it comes, and I think that's gonna be soon, hopefully, so I can move on to get my own apartment. You know, be more independent.
Is there anything that you would like to let people who live in Nanaimo, maybe in the neighborhood around this place, is there anything you'd want to share with them about what life is like here, what goes on here?
Yeah, if you have a chance, soon as you think about it, like go start it, make some progress by talking to a counselor to make some progress in your life, because we're all getting old somewhere, somehow, and the help is available. Sometimes not super easy, but sometimes it's easy. You can go to the hub and there's counselor there. You can talk to the people and make some arrangement and sign up some papers. Sometimes they're gonna say, "Oh, it might take a year," but soon as you do it, better it is. So I don't regret to sign up some paper last year. I could have said, and just leave it like that. But surprised now, I did the right thing.
Is there anything else you'd like to let people know about life here?
Life here is quiet. It's very, it's not jail mentality for definition. It's not that. It's more like family, friendly. We share around things, this little simple thing, you know. I think we're all trying to make it positive. I think everybody here realize that they have a chance now. And yeah, I think that's the positive way to be around here. You gotta be positive.
Norman, thank you so much for taking some time to speak with me.
Well, thank you very much.
That was Norman, one of the residents at a supportive housing site in Nanaimo, located at 1030 Old Victoria Road. Today's program brings you conversations from a recent visit to that site. Created through the provincial government's Heart and Hearth program to respond to homelessness and encampments, it's run by Vancouver Island Mental Health Society. The site will eventually house 59 residents, with over 40 people having moved in so far. I asked manager Dolly Earl-Smith about the reaction of the wider neighborhood to the site. What has the relationship with the surrounding community been like in the lead up to opening and the first little bit of operating?
That's also a really good question. I'm a newer manager to Vimis, so this is very much like a learning journey for me. And I could honestly say, going into different engagements, community engagements, and attending some of the different community associations, going in, I was quite nervous. Leaving, my heart was quite full. I felt like this community here was very opening, very welcoming, to us. And also, when folks were coming in with a lot of questions filled with, some intenseness behind it, to reflect back and just know that, there was some unanswered questions about the type of program that we were opening here. And I think at the end of the day, when people come in and they ask questions and their answers are answered honestly, and they're leaving like they came in and they got what they needed and they have more information leaving, I think is very important. And I find that open communication is huge. So being very responsive to any questions that the community are coming forth with is a huge part of collaboration within the community.
What are some of the most common or maybe questions asked with intensity behind them, and what are the responses?
Yeah, I would say the biggest one is in regards to our substance use policy is probably the biggest one, and asking, are we a wet house? Those are, I would say, older terminology and not really used in this day and age anymore. And the answer that I give to that is, if people are living in their house in a respectful manner and abiding by the rules and moving forth with that and not causing harm to anybody else in like a harm reduction way, then who am I to judge what other people are doing in their house, is kind of the answer we provide to that. We have individuals here who are in recovery and have been for years. We have individuals who, just came upon some hard times and found themselves in this situation and are actively using this as a vessel to better themselves. Being welcome to like all walks of life and encouraging others to do the same and not being so judgmental.
And what have you found, when you share that answer with folks who are coming to, whether it's meetings or just chatting, with that concern, and you share that with them, what typically happens?
Sometimes, depending, I see like a shift in someone's even like body language or their next question. And, sometimes having conversation like, after, my week is done, would I have my neighbor judging me if I went home and had a glass of wine at the end of my work shift? You know what I mean? What I do in my home is my business. And as long as I'm not affecting others around me, is kind of what I have shared. And I find that, people are like, yeah, like, you're right. Like, it has nothing to do with me at the end of the day. So, yeah.
Understand this spring there's a schedule for kind of the community to come here for a beautification kind of event. Could you tell me about that?
Yeah, so hopefully here in the spring, we are going to be doing a beautification in the middle between Building 1 and Building 2. There's a bit of an area that will allow it. And our envision is for there to be like a communal garden, some gazebos for residents to connect and engage in, gather together for meals, for crafting events, and also opening this up to the community if, some neighbors around would like to join. There is quite a few actual neighbors around that pop in, donated a lot of different Christmas presents and things for residents, and really wanting to be a part of that and already asking what can they do to make things better here at 1030 Old Victoria Road, wanting to come together and build picnic tables together for residents to sit at. And it's nice to see, we're almost a year since the groundbreaking here, and that everybody is ultimately coming together. And even those folks that were coming in with those tricky questions in the early days are wanting to be a part of what we're doing here.
So someone who lives nearby, let's say they come in and they say, well, what can I do to make this better? What can I do to make life more pleasant for everyone involved with this site? What's the answer? What are some of the ways people can do that?
There's lots. I would say some key things right now with the colder weather is warm clothing for folks, because sometimes people are moving in with the backpacks on their back. We have one neighbor who drops by with home cooked muffins and different jams for residents and gift cards. We're really close to Country Grocer and Timmy's. So different neighbors have dropped by and dropped off gift cards. You name it. Yeah.
This is People First Radio. Today the program is all about a visit to a supportive housing site in Nanaimo. Located at 1030 Old Victoria Road, it's run by Vancouver Island Mental Health Society. I had the chance to speak with one of the staff members at 1030 Old Victoria Road who has first-hand experience of what it's like transitioning out of homelessness.
I go by JB. I am currently working at 1030 Victoria Road for VMIS as a housing support worker. My background or experience would be in lived experience. I have a lived experience, which is how I got the job. I had 20 years of severe alcoholism, 10 years as a polyintravenous drug user. I basically lived rough on and off for that 20 years, although the story isn't quite that clear. I also was transient, so paying rent wasn't really an option.
Could you tell me a little bit about what your job is here, what you do on a day-to-day basis?
Well, I feel that my job here is to make people feel seen and heard. And in a lot of ways, I feel that it's important to advocate for the residents here from the perspective of knowing what their challenges are from as an internalized perspective, something that I've lived and understand. And so that can get missed when education is the only avenue for being led into this work.
What do you think are some of the common things that might be, maybe I'll frame it as like people's concerns or questions when they're coming to live somewhere like this, that you feel like you have maybe experienced and can bring to folks' attention?
It is easy to lose focus of the amount of pain that people have lived previously to being here, and due to the challenging behaviors that then brings to the table on a day-to-day basis, it's easy to get frustrated with certain behaviors here. And just like bringing it back to center and reminding people that there's an enormous amount of pain trapped into a very small space here. I'm not sure, there's 40 some residents here right now, and there's 40 some odd stories of lived pain, and it can cause some interesting scenarios.
What do you find are some of the ways through those scenarios when you come up?
To be honest with you, that is a learning process for me. I'm still finding my way on how to navigate that, but essentially the baseline is to always approach things from a place of empathy and compassion, and to try and find a happy medium in every situation. Not always possible, but we try.
When you share that you've spent a couple of decades kind of living in a bit of an itinerant fashion, is there anything you'd share with people about what your transition out of that world was like?
Yeah, there's no easy way out. There's no easy path. And suffering is part of the growth. And so whenever you're dealing with a serious detox from Class A substances, there's just no easy way out. And it took years, and it's an ongoing process. It's going to be a lifelong journey, but it took years of solely focusing on recovery in order to move differently in the world.
Are there any things that have helped or are still helping in kind of that ongoing process?
I think for me, having an open mind is like one of the most important things. So there's no one way to recovery. So like I've used 12 steps, I've used a wellness wheel. I spent a year in India searching through more of an Eastern philosophical way of living. And I think that you need to have a broad spectrum in order to grow, to not narrow yourself too much. And then I was given a piece of advice at the beginning that I held on to, that basically if there's something that you don't want to do, you should probably do it.
Could you tell me a little bit about some of the relationships you've been able to form with the folks who are living here?
Yes. It is, in a lot of ways, it's very refreshing to be here because, I mean, I've been clean now for 16 years, and I have lived outside of, I don't know, let's say the community of people that are substance affected for a long time, but in a lot of ways they're my people. And it's nice to be able to build friendships and talk with people about my own personal experiences, where when I'm in the world of normal people, I just cannot freely share because they're extreme in nature and not always accepted. And here I can let that aspect of my personality be open, and not only it turns my negative experiences into something positive. And so by sharing what happened in my life and letting people know that I understand what's going on in their life, I'm able to turn those negative experiences into a positive and build tight bonds with people here. And it's been very rewarding.
A little while ago, you shared that you got some advice in the recovery process that was along the lines of, if there's something you really don't want to do, then you should probably do it. Could you tell me a little bit about what that maybe looked like for you?
I mean, especially with like depressants, alcohol, opiates, they're painkillers, but they're also emotional painkillers. They're not just like physical pain. And the root causes of that, the root cause of that emotional pain is very difficult to look at, and to process and work through it is not something that's an enjoyable undertaking. And at some point you have to do it if you want to move on in life.
Is there anything you'd like to let the community at large know about what life is like here at 1030 Old Victoria Road?
I would like to say that for a marginalized population, especially when it comes to mental health and addictions, being out with nowhere to go is very isolating. The daily grind of being looked down upon everywhere you go is hard and demoralizing. But being here in an area where you're able to build community, you get to see people become vulnerable, and they let you in a bit more. And the sense of community that is being built here, especially over the last, like, it's new, right? So I'm going to say 6 months, but I'm not exactly sure how long it's been open, since July. To see how people have formed bonds and the kind of community that's come together, it's very inspiring.
You're listening to People First Radio. We're hearing about a new supportive housing site in Nanaimo on today's program. Located at 1030 Old Victoria Road near the southern edge of town, it's operated by Vancouver Island Mental Health Society. It will eventually house 59 people, with over 40 folks having moved in so far. Residents at the site are provided with 2 meals a day. The culinary services are overseen by a Red Seal chef who spoke with me about the role of food in helping people stabilize their lives.
My name's Joseph Thomas. I am the food services supervisor here for Wemyss. I'm mainly out of 1030 location. I do 5 days a week here, actually running on the line, doing breakfast and dinner. I also oversee 3 other locations. Basically, we have Gateway here also in Nanaimo, and then 2 locations in Campbell River. We have Quoxham Place and the Rose Bowl as well. So I oversee the food services basically for all of the locations for Wemyss, basically.
And I've heard that you're a Red Seal chef. Can you tell me about kind of your journey to working here at Wemyss?
Yeah, Red Seal chef and Red Seal baker. I basically moved to the island about 3 years ago. Before that, I worked in Vancouver for about 20 years. I was the exec chef at Seasons in the Park. I ran the food trucks and resident hall at UBC. Also took care of the basically the concessions at Doug Mitchell Arena and Thunderbird Stadium as well. Originally from Ontario. Don't hold that against me, obviously.
Oh, me too.
So I am a transplant here in BC. So before that, I worked in various fine dining restaurants in Hamilton, Burlington, Oakville area. decided to make a change. Didn't want to move to Toronto, which would have been the next smartest choice for me, basically culinary wise. I moved out to BC, and I moved out in 2003, and ever since, like I said, hotels, fine dining restaurants. Before I moved to the island, I worked for PCRS, which is another nonprofit organization, and I basically did the same type of thing I do here, but with teens from 12 to 18. So very rewarding. As a chef, you deal with a lot of stress and chaos, which I do like, but at the same time, as you get older, it's nice to not have those type of things in your life. So I find this job very rewarding when it comes to at the end of the day when I go home. I know that I've made some great meals for some people who need it, and that's what I'm here for.
So compared to the work you were doing before, kind of fine dining kitchens, there's less stress and chaos here in this environment?
Yes, I would say there's different chaos for sure. One thing I like about this too is you're cooking for the same people every day, so you get to build relationships obviously with the residents here. I still use my same fundamentals and things I enjoy the cooking in and bring them here. Obviously, we're more of a comfort food here, basically at 1030 and the other locations. But basically, I try to, everything's from scratch still. I still garnish every plate. And again, here, food's important. You know what I mean? And it's something that the residents look forward to every day. And I make sure that when I produce dinner and present it to them, it's of the highest quality possible.
What kind of stuff is on the menu here on a day-to-day basis?
So right now we're doing our fall and winter menu. So I got pork barbecue ribs going on there right now. Tonight I'm doing a baked tortellini. I try to do meatless Mondays here. Everyone seems to be on board with that, which is good. Obviously, there's still a protein component to that. We have veal parmesan. Again, I try to do ethnic foods too, just to keep it fresh and keep everyone excited. I do old school classics like bangers and mash, pierogies and sausage. This week I have one of my favorites that I like to make here is a Singapore pineapple curry, which the residents love. A little bit of everything. And then basically for breakfast, we do cold and hot breakfast alternating each day. Today was cold cereal, obviously. Tomorrow I think I'm doing oatmeal. And I switch it up all the time as well. Just to keep it fresh. And again, 4-week rotational menu is nice too, so they're not eating the same thing every day.
And I saw a poster on the wall saying that Friday, the 30th, there's going to be like a fancier meal. Can you tell me about that?
Absolutely. So what I also like to do here, and this is for both the residents and myself. I still like to keep my skills sharp, and I still like to cook that really nice food that presented well. So we do fine dining Fridays here once a month, and this Friday, the 30th, we have a Chiappino Pacifico. So basically an Italian seafood stew. We're going to have sockeye salmon, local mussels, prawns, served with some focaccia bread, and then we do a dessert, which will be a raspberry cheesecake with some chocolate-covered cranberries. So some tart and sweet, and they love it. And what I love about it too is I ask them to dress up. And they do wear sports jackets, and some of the ladies wear dresses, and it just gives them a sense of, maybe they haven't gone out to a fine dining restaurant or a higher end restaurant, and maybe they have and they haven't done it in a long time. And so what I'm doing is I'm just trying to provide that sort of spark here at home. And so far we've done, I think this is our third. I did a braised short rib for New Year's Eve, so we had a New Year's Eve gala as well. And they love it. And again, it's just something that puts a smile on their face.
What kind of impact have you seen from folks? You talked already about kind of you're cooking for the same people every day, and you maybe get to build up a little bit of a relationship with them, seeing them eat the food, chatting with them while it's happening or while it's being prepared. Could you tell me a little bit more about what that's like and maybe what kind of those relationships have been like for you? Yeah,
absolutely. I think I actually absolutely love the relationships that I've built here. There's a few people, obviously not saying names or anything, but a a lot of them have come from directly either a shelter or off the street, and are now living here. And nutrition obviously wasn't happening for them before. I have a few people that have told me that their bodies feel great now. They feel strong, and based on the food that they're getting, and getting it regularly, like eating 2 square meals a day. There's also, they can put a fridge in their room as well and have their own type of food or whatever has happening there. But yeah, I would say the most part is the nutrition end, the tasting end as well. Like I said, I take a lot of pride in what I do. I make sure the food is top notch. I have a butternut squash bisque simmering on the stove as we speak right now, which will be tomorrow's dinner. So again, healthy, fresh, within the season too, right? Something hearty. It's pretty cold outside, so I try to take all of the elements. And again, I talk to the residents and what their likes and dislikes are. They're pretty happy with, honestly, whatever I give them. But I also make sure that variety is there as well, based on nobody wants to eat the same thing 5 days in a row, unless it's like lobster. Then I would do that. But other than that, and again, just the relationships are good. When I hear the feedback like that, that's why I do this. Somebody who might be very timid in the beginning, and try to have that banter and conversation, and then have them opening up a bit. I see these guys a lot more than the other staff do, because they do spend quite a bit of time in the dining room. So it's easier for me to build that relationship with them, and I love it.
What kind of constraints are you under? What is the logistics side of sourcing the food, that kind of thing like?
So, very good question. So my budget here is very, very tight. And obviously, and hoping for something a little bit larger this year. But again, I work with what I have. Budgets are tight. So what I do is I use other resources in the city. I go to Loaves and Fishes at least once a week. They are absolute amazing people, and that program is helping not only me, they help out a lot of families here in Nanaimo. I go there once a week, if not twice, and grab whatever I possibly can. That might change my menu based on what I grab from there sometimes. The Chia Pinot that I'm making this on the 30th, I actually got the cod collars from them, which I'll be making the stock with. So it's just things like that. It's getting something. It's almost like a black box competition for a chef. What do you have? Boom, and then basically turn it into something. I also have 710 Society who come here 2 to 3 times a week and drop off bag lunches, which also helps with hunger in the afternoon, because we do breakfast and dinner only. Just some great resources in town, and forever grateful for these people, which also helps me get through my budget, we'll call it, and helps towards keeping people happy here.
Is there any kind of way that the broader community can kind of contribute to the part of this work that you're doing?
Well, absolutely. And so what's happened is during Christmas, we had a couple of neighbors across the street. They're absolute wonderful human beings. They came over with a whole bunch of coffee creamers and popcorn and clothing and games, and just, they get it. And I love the fact that they didn't think negatively towards us being across the street from their house. We had an open house in the very beginning for the neighbors to have them in and say, hey, this is what we're doing here. Just so they're very transparent with them. The neighbors were amazing, and we get a lot of donations that way. I would say more clothing, which is, I think, probably more important, because I do have a budget for the food part of it. But toques and sweaters and jackets and all that stuff has been given, and we basically are super grateful for
and that. I think food is something that is, on the one hand, kind of universally recognized as, but on the other hand, sometimes underappreciated as a way to bring community together, over a meal. How have you seen that happening here?
Yeah, and then so that's the funny part too. So when we first opened, we had a small select group. I call them the OGs because they're the original people that were here, and they bonded pretty quickly to the point where if you saw in the dining room, we have that one main table. I call it the family table in the middle, and they sit there for the entirety of dinner service, and they talk and chat, and it could be about sports, could be about weather, could be about politics, doesn't matter what it is. I feel that as we've gotten more residents too, that's now spilling into the secondary dining room too. So you're having groups sitting together, and it's not always the same people. It differs, which is also nice. It's not just, I want to call it cliquey. It's the same 5 people or the same 4 people. People are willing to sit down. Some people stay for 2 minutes. Some people stay for the whole duration. And if someone leaves the table early, someone always slides into that chair and picks up conversation with the rest. It's actually really fun to watch. And then, of course, I had my 2 cents worth. I'll come out and sit up on the table and chat away with them. And again, that's how I built relationships, is being a chef normally stuck in the back. And our sort of thing is, oh no, we don't talk to people because that's not our gig. I've always been the guy who loves to go out and touch tables and talk to people and get instant feedback. So here it's super easy. It's the same people every day. So, and that's the way I build the relationships with them.
I understand kind of on the medium-term radar is maybe creating opportunities for the folks living here to pick up some kitchen skills.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're starting other places in Venice. We have what's called a peer program. And this is something I also did back at PCRS when I worked with the teens. I'm going to start getting some of these residents into the kitchen. And whether it's just to have them in there and to work a couple hours to give them some extra money, or the ones that are actually super passionate and like to continue that, I have great ideas, and I look forward to getting them back out in the job market and being able to say that, you know what, I would love to be part of that. And again, that's another thing that makes you feel good. I had a couple people in the PCRS program that worked in the kitchen, then went to work at Earl's and did very, very well, and came back to see me, and we're like, oh my God, chef, I'm working, I've got promoted. And so that is like a total feel-good story for me. I'm at the point in my career where, yes, I can still learn new stuff, but I'm more about coaching and developing and passing on the craft, especially after COVID, where, you know, the talent pool is a lot less. And so if I can start training and developing new cooks, regardless of their age, and get them into the industry, then I know that I've done my part and feel good about it.
If we're looking to give folks a window into what happens here inside 1030 Old Victoria Road, is there anything else that you think it's important to highlight and bring to people's attention?
I just think that we're just trying to better the town we live in, Nanaimo. And you have to think twice, too, about when you make comments or make stereotypes about people who are homeless. I'll be honest too. I was guilty for a long time ago and thought negatively towards it. But there's reasons, and it's not just because people are lazy. There's people who have mental health issues, and it's unfortunate. And we've gotten to the point where the housing market is out of control, whether that be cost or not available. And I love being a part of a solution finally that is doing good. And I would love for us to be able to open more. I know it takes time and it takes money, but I'm sure we'll be able to get to that point. But for right now, I'm looking forward to when this place is full, we can change some lives. And I think we already have. We're on the right path, that's for sure. And I'm just glad to be part of it.
Chef Joe, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me.
Thank you.
Joseph Thomas is the Food Services Supervisor for Vancouver Island Mental Health Society. He works primarily out of their site at 1030 Old Victoria Road, which we've been featuring on today's program. During my visit there, I also spoke with a resident who moved in last year.
My name is Jeannie Stevenson. I'm 65 years old and living in the shelter.
And could you tell me what it was like moving in here to 1030 Old Victoria Road?
Oh, a lot nicer. Like, I feel more safe here. Get fed really good too. Clean rooms, nice, privacy. You can close your door.
Where were you living before you came here?
Oh, just been homeless for over a year. Back and forth in shelters and, and it was a rental situation that really caused it. And because you need a roommate nowadays, but it's hard.
How did you find out about this place? How did you get an offer to move in?
Another worker, one of the workers. She came by at the Hub, the one on Nickel Street. She came there and said, "Hey, you want to go for a ride?" And she brought me out here. I moved in within a couple hours, so it was so nice.
So when you came here to see it for the first time, what were you looking for? What were you wondering about? What was your experience
just safety,
like
and having the door, we're able to close your door when you want. That's what really mattered to me. Sometimes you overthink it, figure it's a dangerous place, but it's not. It's not. Everybody's pretty good here. Everybody.
And how are you finding it? Have you settled into a daily routine?
I'm more settled into, nervous at first, of course, but we're settled in and just going with the flow. The safety makes a big difference, and I feel safe in here. I don't feel threatened. We eat good, which is good, but it's just, my health's gotten a lot better from just being in a place that, you're not so afraid all the time, but I like it. I do. Don't want to make it forever, but...
Do you have any kind of plans for the longer term?
Looking for a place, but it's so hard. All my stuff's in storage. It has been for going on 2 years now. In Parks, all my stuff's stored. And I pay not too much a month. I pay pretty good, but it gets to me after a while. I like to have my own place and whatever. And getting to Parksville to get to keep my TV out of storage or anything is so hard. But I just been going with the flow. That's what you got to do.
How do you find living here as far as being able to go different places in
I think it's great. We got the bus stop right across from us, and then there's a little strip mall up here, where the grocery store is, the drugstore is. They got a lot of things there. There's a strip mall there. So you can just walk in distance. But then they've got the bus stop if you want to go down to Port Place Mall to, do shopping or whatever.
Are there any things you would want members of the community, maybe members of the neighborhood near here to know
we're
about
not scary.
What goes on?
We're not out to hurt anybody. We just fell in hard times, and the hard times is the rental situation, and plus nothing to rent. And if there is, you're looking at a couple $1,000s a month. Nobody could afford that, But no, I feel safe here. I sleep well at night. Don't feel scared at all. It's just like a little small community, loving people. Like, everybody that works here is great. They don't look down on you or anything like that, which is great to see.
Is there anything you think people living around here could do to kind of contribute or help make life here better?
I think donating towards the food and stuff would be nice, to donate food, because they feed a lot of people here. And we got one great cook, really good cook, and he cooks really well. And it's just, I think they need donations towards food. I really do, because there's a lot of people out there that need the food bank beside this place. So they just need to donate more food, I think.
Well, what would you share with people about the food? Earlier, I was speaking with the chef here a little bit about his work. What's that been like from your experience as someone who lives here and eats here?
He makes sure that we have good food, balanced diet, which is great. We don't just get macaroni and cheese or things like that. You get full meals, and every second day we have a breakfast, but every day is a cereal too, and toast and fruit and. So as long as you're eating good, I think that makes the mind feel a little bit better. I don't know. I was surprised to move in here. I was scared, but.
What were you scared of?
People, I think. afraid of the way they talk about these homeless shelters is not what's out there. That's not what's happening. You know, they protect people in here. They protect, you know, and they got an area if you're doing drugs. That's an illness, I think. It's not that I didn't do drugs back in the 80s, and I'm sure glad I'm not doing it now. But it's not a place just for them to do drugs, so there's drugs everywhere now. This place is just more safety, more safe, and that's what I feel.
Is there anything you'd like to share with people about what your experience was like in the sort of time, the year or whatever, before you moved in?
Yeah, I want to share that we're not bad people. We just fell in hard times and we're homeless and we're not out to hurt anybody. We're just trying to get through each day ourselves, you know. But it's, I don't try to be down about it no more. Why? I'm happy to have a roof over my head and feel that safety. If you don't feel safe, well, you don't have nothing. You don't have that safety feeling. But, you know, I'm surprised at the food and stuff, you know, like the way they're feeding us, making sure that we have a diet balanced meal. So I love it.
That was Jeannie, one of the residents at 1030 Old Victoria Road, a supportive housing site in Nanaimo run by Vancouver Island Mental Health Society. That is all the time we have for the show today. Thank you for tagging along for my visit to Old Victoria Road. Thank you to everyone at the site for welcoming me into the space. You've been listening to People First Radio. I'm Joe Pugh. I'll talk to you again next week.
People First Radio is a community media project of Vancouver Island Mental Health Society and produced in Nanaimo, British Columbia. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of Vancouver Island Mental Health Society or its broadcast partners.